Far North Queensland is home to the Golden Hole Reserve, a popular fishing spot that looks like a patch of paradise. But step slightly off the banks, and you enter one of Australia's dense and hostile rainforests. On a Sunday morning, Shannon Fraser, her partner Heath, and their family arrived at the reserve for a relaxing day by the water. After a disagreement with Heath, Shannon decided to walk into the nearby bush to cool off. Tired from the heat, she sat down and accidentally fell asleep. When she woke up at dusk, disoriented in the fading light, she panicked. Instead of locating the path back to the water, she walked deeper into the brush. Within minutes, night fell. Beneath the jungle canopy, the darkness is absolute. Heath spent hours calling her name through the trees, but the sheer density of the woods swallowed the sound. She was immediately trapped. The environment is a chaotic wall of thin trunks, thick roots, and vines that make walking in a straight line impossible. A split-second decision to close her eyes for a nap turned a casual Sunday afternoon into a brutal fight against the elements. Over 6 days, fear drove her choices. Knowing creeks hid crocodiles, she aimed for higher ground toward Broken Nose Mountain. But moving away from water was a severe tactical error, walking her completely out of the official search grid. Authorities deployed a helicopter equipped with thermal imaging to scan the forest, but the thick layers of the jungle canopy completely blocked her body heat, rendering the multi-million-dollar technology useless. Navigating the brush took a physical toll. The rainforest is choked with sharp vines and spikes. Within days, her clothes were literally ripped to shreds, leaving her to push through the venomous spiders and leeches, completely naked and bleeding. As the week dragged on with no sign of her, the narrative on the outside shifted. Her family began to suspect foul play, resulting in Heath facing intense police interrogation. Her initial instinct to avoid the danger of the river isolated her deep in the wilderness. While out in the town, Heath became entirely isolated by suspicion. By day 7, the hunger pains became severe. To cope with the suffocating darkness of the nights, she sang "A Horse with No Name" out loud to keep her mind intact. Realizing her uphill hike was failing, she made a critical pivot. She overcame her fear, getting into the water to float downstream toward the coast. This route offered a clear path, but was heavily populated by large predators. Moving through water meant risking a fatal encounter with saltwater crocodiles. Then, biology forced a halt. Shannon began menstruating. Terrified blood would attract crocodiles, she pulled herself out of the creek, isolating herself on an exposed rock surrounded by water. For 3 agonizing days, she stayed pinned to that spot. With zero shade, the tropical sun baked her skin, causing massive, painful blisters across her entire body. While she lay paralyzed on the rock, time ran out for the authorities. Assuming she could not have survived this long, police suspended the search. Nature had forced her to stop moving on the exact physical path that led to safety, right at the moment the outside world gave up hope. On day 16, starving, severely burnt and exhausted, Shannon sat down in the dirt. She accepted that she was going to die. But a deep psychological surge forced her back to her feet. The overwhelming thought of her 3 children growing up without their mother gave her the adrenaline to keep walking. The next morning, she finally found a trace of the outside world. Bright pink ribbons tied to the trees, left behind by the search and rescue teams. She followed the markers until the trees broke. Covered only by a discarded fertilizer bag she found in the brush, she stumbled into a clearing and flagged down a stunned local driver. Doctors at the Innisfail Hospital found she had lost nearly 17 kilos. Her body was covered in severe, infected cuts and horrific sunburns. When Heath and her kids walked into the room, she was so physically altered they barely recognized her. The pink ribbons provided the geographical map out of the jungle, but it was a mother's refusal to abandon her children that allowed her body to endure 17 days in a